So, dear ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. And see, they say that an intelligent person learns in difficult times, and so are we also. We are striving, we are working each day, we are learning each day, and trying to recalibrate our knowledge. As we have entered the phase two of lockdown, let's embark our journey on learning some new subjects closely related to our core activity. The topic which I have chosen today is meta audit. Before I move forward, I'll just like to give a brief introduction of myself. I am Ravi Gaikwad, and my organization is Corporate Certifications and Services. Basically, I'm an ex-banker, but my interest made me to come to this industry and leaving a lucrative job in HDFC. I started my entrepreneurship journey 17 years back and have never looked back. I am a qualified auditor for various ISO standards and handling over 500 clients across the locations. My other expertise is offering advisory services for national and international business excellence awards. I do have an impeccable track record with two global and five business excellence awards in last 5 years for my clients. I prefer to work for newer standards, more remuneration and better learning in new standards. Uh, Fine. Well, for many of you, this might be a new subject, a new topic. Many might be knowing about the SMETA audit, but many might not be aware of about what all this process is, how it is done, how it is conducted, and what are the procedures. So I'll just share throw some light on this particular subject. Uh, Basically, I'll call this system as a futuristic, and all the major global giants are SMETA certified. So when we talk about good clients like global giants like Pfizer, Glaxo, Reckitt Benckiser, Mondelez, Cadbury's, these are all good names, and they have been certified by SMETA. Then, as you see, the name SMETA is an abbreviation of SEDEX, Members Ethical Trade Audit. This is the the name of the operation. SEDEX members ethical trade audit, that is, and SEDEX is the supplier ethical data exchange, is a non-profit organization. SEDEX is a non-profit organization similar to ISO, wherein all the leading global companies are member of this particular organization. They are promoting responsible and ethical business practices throughout the supply chain. SEDEX is the name of the organization, and SMETA is the audit methodology, providing a compilation of best practices in ethical audit techniques. It is designed to help auditors conduct high quality audits that encompass all aspects of responsible business practice, covering SEDEX four pillars of SEDEX, that is labor, health, safety, and environment and business ethics. SMETA is designed for suppliers to share one audit with multiple customers, meeting multiple customer requirements and reducing duplication in ethical auditing. So here we'll see that basically SEDEX, SMETA has four pillars, but there are opportunities. If a client wants to go for two-pillar audit, he can opt for two-pillar audit also. That is, it can be the labor and health and safety part also. Whereas normally, generally, it is four-pillar structure, which I'll be coming in the next slide. SMETA audits are done on four pillars: business ethics, human rights, form the framework of that is ethical trade initiative. The four pillars of SMETA are labor standards, health and safety, business ethics, and the environment. Along with these four pillars, there are some additional requirements that cover the universal United Nations guiding principles, some management system, and entitlement of work on subcontracting. We'll see the slides in the coming presentation. Some of the common code elements when we talk about SMETA audit, it is very important for all of us to understand these are legal compliances and a part of management system, forced labor, wages and benefits, hours of work, freedom of association, child labor, discrimination, abuse of labor, health and safety, environment, bribery and corruption slash business practices. On basis of these elements, the SMETA audits are conducted. For us, it might appear that it is a very small type of requirement, means we are already about child labor should not be used, and we are also aware about the health and safety part. It is being covered in OSAS, and the other part also environment is covered in ISO 14000. So these are very small part, means, but the moment we go deep inside this audit process, we'll find that what we have learned or what we have seen is completely different when we talk about SMETA audit. I'll just share one by one each element of this SMETA audit, and you will understand that yes, it is not the way which we are operating right now, and how these SEDEX members are critically evaluating on each parameter, so that ethical business is promoted, human rights are taken care, and globally good business practices is established. When we talk about the legal compliances, the most important, as it is in all the certification standards, it is management system. So it is important for the organization to implement the code of SMETA, and not only implement in the organization, but also to communicate all the business partners, associates, and the partners in the supply chain about the SMETA requirements, legal compliances, because this process, meta process, is not only related to your to a particular client who's getting certified. It is the cycle that is getting certified. The whole supply chain process is getting certified. So just by getting a particular unit's certification is not possible in this. The whole supply chain has to be a part of this process. So management system plays a major role. So here we talk about ISO 9001, when all the all the requirements of ISO are implemented. And though it is a very small, I'll not be discussing much on this particular part, but yes, ISO 9001 is covered while implementing this or auditing this part. The next part is the management practices. Here we talk about all the policies. They should be how they should be prepared, written, communicated, displayed, and shared with the stakeholders, suppliers, supply chain members, right? So when we talk about uh, policies, we generally, when we are doing any certification, we are talking about quality policy, food safety policy, OSAS policy. But here we talk about multiple policies. The policies on biodiversity, means we are employing people from all the walks of life, anti-bribery, corruption, fraudulent or unfair business practice policy, on integrity, code requirements. Then we have more on working hours, health and safety, anti-discrimination, anti-harassment, internal operating policies, land rights, human rights, data policy, privacy policy, child labor, and child remediation plan. See, many times we see that in many organizations, particularly in MSME or similar type of organizations, we see that sometimes we find that child laborers are working. So in such situation, when we are conducting the audit for SMETA, it is very important that if child labor is found working in the organization, there has to be a remediation plan. You cannot just tell the child to just go out of the premises and your purpose is over. Once a child is identified working in the industry or organization, there has to be a child remediation plan. So uh, see, basically this SMETA is a risk-based audit. Here it is not only just compliances. They talk about A to Z of a particular activity, not just showing a documentary evidence or a process of evidence. You are through with the process. Here it has to be in a in totality. Then also when we talk about legal compliance with the organization objectives and the SOPs, the other important part is what we see generally in our continent or in our country, in other organizations, that we many of the organizations don't give the appointment letters to the employees, right? The confirmation letters are not given. I have seen many organizations where employees are working since last 10, 15, 20 years. But when we ask about the appointment letters, they'll say, sir, wo to mila hi nahi. So they haven't received the appointment letter, leave aside the confirmation letter. But these are all legal compliances. These have to be complied. This is a requirement of the code. These are the elements which are very much required in SMETA audit, because it talks about human welfare, and the type of process has to be implemented, taking in account the workforce and the human resource. Labor contracting, labor agencies. Again, this is a chapter, this is a subject where we find that we have seen security agencies being uh, hired by many companies with never having any contractual agreements with them, no uh, enforcing of PF, ESIC norms on them. And so many times whenever there are labor inspector visit or issues are there, we land up in problem and start we have to compromise or pay the penalties. So here everything is a part of supply chain, as a part of stakeholder. Everything is thoroughly means complied. The labor contractor, there is a process how it is going to happen, how you are going to identify a contracting agency, what type of agreements you will execute, and how these executed agreements are to be further endorsed by the government agencies, the competent agencies. So just by getting an agreement itself is not enough. It has to be legally processed, and then only it will be a part of it will be accepted during this meta audit. Few examples of legal compliances. See, whenever we go to a client's place, uh, we or when we are meeting a client for the first time and we are trying to fill the application, first time the application, we ask the client what are the basic legal requirements you are following. So the client will simply say, sir, it is PF, ESIC, GST and shop and establishment. But my dear friends, when we talk about legal compliances, they are much more than what we can even imagine. And these are not only globally implemented, but these are very much implemented in our own law, in our own land. At all the locations these are applicable, but unfortunately we are not aware, we are not knowing about these requirements, and hence these organizations, or many times we just mention that only the legal requirements of PFESIC, shop establishment, gumasta and GST. I'll share some of the important legal compliances, which you'll find these are very important when you talk about any industry, any setup, any organization. Consent to establishment, CT. Again, this is an important segment where before setting up your operations or factory or institution, you need to take a consent from the competent authority about starting the establishment. Once you give the application request, they'll come and visit your site, evaluate the systems, and then they'll give you consent to operate. That is the next step. Factory license, shop establishment, most common thing you can easily get through a broker, or you can just apply and you will get you'll get the registration. Shift up working approval. This again is an important thing where we find in most of the industries institutions there is no working approval from the competent authority, like the labor officer or the inspector, that yes, you are permitted to work in 2 shift, 3 shift. People are working across the 24 hours, but they don't have any approval. So here comes a situation where there is a possibility of the labor inspector coming to your premises and harassing you, and you getting harassed, and you'll complain that the government norms are not supportive. That is not the situation. We are not complying with the norms, and we are giving an opportunity to these officers to come and inspect and identify these areas which we are not aware. So as consultants we need to be aware about basic legal requirements also, so that we can request our clients to comply with most of them. Standing orders again is a document which talks about the practices to be followed in the organization. Again, it is approved by the labor officer, labor inspector, that these are the standing orders of our organization. What time we'll be opening, what will be the uh, working hours, everything, all the instructions are mentioned here, and these instructions are all authenticated by the competent authority and displayed prominently in the organization. Stability certificate, any organization, any factory, any building should have a stability certificate. We cannot just, we have seen many, though it is covered in ISO standards also, but yes, many times what we have seen that these documents are not available. Approved factory layout plan, okay. GST registration, not an issue. Copy of import export, okay. Consent under air, again this is an important part. If you are having a setup any industry, consent under air is important, right? This act has to be complied, but we avoid doing, because we think that some relaxations will be given. Many organizations are not going for such type of legal compliances, so why we should also spend amount on go for such type of additional legal compliances. Consent under water act, see, if you are using the groundwater or the water, you need to have a consent from the competent authority, that you are having a factory, a commercial establishment, and you need to take the consent, a written consent, and then only you can use the water, otherwise it is not permissible. Then we talk about licenses approvals as a part of legal compliances. A lot of licenses and approvals are required which are not being taken by the clients generally. These are the hazardous material waste storage permission. Hope I am audible to all of you. Am I audible to all of you? Yeah, yeah. Thanks. Licenses and approvals. When we talk about licenses and approval, uh, these are required by the organization, but many times we have seen that these are not available or the client is not aware. So as a consultant, we need to make them aware that these are the basic compliances which you need to comply, so that you avoid unforeseen circumstances, you avoid paying penalties on these particular heads. These are requirement of the land, and we have to comply with these requirements. Hazardous material and waste storage permission. This permission has to be taken, but we'll see that in most of the organization, hazardous waste is there, but the permission for storage is not taken. No objection certificate from local fire department. This is a bit complicated activity, where you have to spend a huge amount to take the NOC from the fire department. But yes, during after the recent fire outbreaks in many commercial establishment, now the government is very particular, and they are putting a lot of effort on getting the organizations NOC for fire. So a complicated thing, but yes, a very important thing when we talk about the safety of the employees or the product also. Boiler inspection certificate, yes. First, second class boilers operators certificate, a part of the requirement. Electricity load sanction. Now, this document is not available with any of the MSME or major organizations. The sanction permission. Generator and transformer inspection, safety and installation. Again, if you have a generator, if you have a transformer, you need to have this safety inspection report with you, right? Forklift operator certificate license, if forklifts are being used. Any government official, if he is visiting to the premises, there has to be a register, so that the details can be recorded, and we can always track down when a government official has visited, or was it a regular visit, or what it was a specific reason. See, particularly in food safety, they come for sampling. So or in a case of complaint, when they go for the traceability, they come to the institutions or factories for inspection. That can be a regulatory visit also. right? Then where pressure vessels are used, the test reports are required. Whenever we have generators, we store diesel. If the quantity is in great numbers, the quantity is high, then in that case also we need to have storage permission for diesel also. Uh, the other part of our legal compliances is the land rights. Many times we see that these compliances are not being done, and you will find it very interesting in this particular part that uh, facility landowners or lease documents, uh, they should be available when we do the SMETA audit. When the SMETA audits means when the land rights are verified, these documents are verified. Social impact also seen. Documents demonstrating that the seller engaged in an FPIC process when negotiating the sale of the land to the facility. See, now this here they are talking about a very different subject. Suppose you have purchased a land for a factory or an institution, then you need to have a record of all the previous transactions or the registries or the process, and it has to be a certificate has to come that when this property or when this land was purchased, the people staying there were no people staying here, and if they were staying here they were properly compensated. They were not just removed from this premises and the factory was built. Like in many pictures we have seen that during slum areas they want to construct, then they remove the people from the site and they bring construct a big mall so that the revenue can be generated. So such type of practices are also a part of this process. You have to demonstrate, you have to show during with the documents that when this whole process, the whole cycle was initiated, the people who are if they were staying here they were properly compensated, and they or they were not forcefully removed from the site. Then we talk about the uh, disputes, any disputes related to that particular land and how it was addressed and how the grievance was taken. If it is related to particularly slum dwellers or the people on the party level, below the party level, how they were properly compensated. Now coming to the second part, that is forced labor. We in this process have to ensure that there is no forced or bonded labor who is working in the premises. And I think we all are aware about the forced labor conditions, right? So when basically in many of the organizations, what we see during the process of implementation or audit, that though there are not forced labors, but they can be termed as forced labors because before the appointment they have to submit their documents, they have to they have to deposit a particular amount as a security or a collateral amount, and this amounts to forced labor category. So while auditing, it is ensured the people are interviewed, the people, the laborers are separately called in a different room, and they are asked about their employment, whether the payment was taken from them in a different manner, so that they are in a position to, even if client has prepared the organization or the laborers to answer a particular for a particular set of questions, but here the auditor has the competency or the qualities to ask the question in such a manner that the fact can come out from the labors. So the no deposit should be taken, and no document should be uh, available with the employer. Wages should not be held by the employer in any circumstances. Many times that suppose the salary is being paid as 8,000 rupees, 2,000 is written by the employer that once after 6 months this amount will be paid. Again, again this is not fair, because that again it tend amounts to forced labor, because if you are retaining a particular amount, the person is forced to work for those many days, and then so that he can get reimbursed that amount, right? No monetary deposit should be taken at the time of employment. He should be free to leave the organization means here we are talking about that there should be no bondages that you will have to work for 6 months. That see, in many good organizations, we see that they have a locking period or a bond for 1 year, 2 year. That is again a part of forced labor here. You cannot tell your employees to work for a year as per the agreement, because that agreement was only one-sided agreement and not acceptable as per union means global policies. Overtime should be voluntary. We are talking about overtime, but many times we say that the laborers are working for many hours and they are not even given the overtime. So you cannot force a person to work overtime. Original documents of employee should not be retained, and if they are coming from a consultant or a recruitment agency, no unreasonable account fee should be paid. Now, coming to the audit part, see, earlier we are talking about the requirement. When we are talking about the evidence of compliance of this particular requirement, you will see that how thoroughly the auditor has to go through the documents. So any organization can say or prepare documents related to the salaries and other activities. But here, the whole process has to be verified by the auditor, and it is very meticulously done, like last 12 months minimum wage notification should be available. See, basically these are the wage notifications are state wise. Every state has its own notification, and on the basis of these notifications, the payment has to be done in that particular state. Attendance, he'll verify the attendance and in out time of both company and the contractual workers also. So that he'll understand, okay, how many hours the person is working. Then we have the wage record, how the amount paid to the employees and the contractual workers. Whenever we are talking about the organization, we are talking about the company and all the contractor employees. We are not talking just about the employees of the organization. Here it is company and the contractor employees. Then bank statement of wages paid. Now suppose I make a statement that I am paying as per the minimum wages to all my laborers or employees, but I need to show a bank statement. The employees or the means the laborers need to show the bank statement also of the payment they have received, and and I have to show a statement that this amount has been paid to these many people, and this is a breakup of that payment. Overtime wage records has to be verified. It is not just I'll say that I pay overtime. No. Here the calculation is very clear. This is the overtime hours and how much you have paid to the employees. If some organizations do have exemption certificate for overtime, if that is applicable, you have to show that register. Then we have a bonus register. Bonus again is a requirement, and they have to ensure that the bonus is paid for, and the latest records are verified. Now, evidence of compliance are again verified through the full and final records of the people who have resigned. It is not only for the company employees, but for the contractor employees also. And the important part which I'm trying to communicate here, that it is for laborers also, and it is for the contractual laborers also, that they are given the appointment letter by the service provider, and the full and final settlement records are available, payments are being done. It is not only for the staff or the people of, at a particular level, it is at that level also, because here we are talking about uh, this best practices, ethical practices in business. So it is more related to laborers and the people who are at the lower level. So they need to be, it is very difficult to accept that a labor getting an appointment letter, but that has to be practiced, and that is happening in many of the locations across the globe. But we need to see with these practices are being implemented. Even a security guard has to get a appointment letter from his employer. Then leave records are verified, right? How much earned leave he has earned, and what type of leaves here the person is getting. For all, it is all for the employees and the contractual employees also. So these are the evidences which auditor will verify, and it is as per the requirement of SMETA audit. maternity benefit records. Many times we see that uh, these compliances are not done. Maternity benefit records, right? These are okay. Okay, you can go on leave, and we'll give you the leave, but means it won't be a paid leave. So many times we see in many organizations these are the issues. Copies of pay slips. Now, copy of pay slips should be given to a labor also, a security agency guard also, everybody, whoever is coming inside the premises and doing some work or is a part of the workforce, he has to get a pay slip also. Then the list of holidays, we see that they are being displayed. Personal files should be there. Now, the other part, possibly these documents I can prepare on my own as an organization, as a owner of the organization or the HR department. I could prepare most of the documents. So now what I do, I verify the regulatory and statutory documents. I call for the ESI challenge with ESR copies and latest half yearly return. These records cannot be forged, these records cannot be created. So for these records, I'll see the statement and immediately I'll go to the ESI and PF site and I'll verify the challenge with the details. And I can easily verify what amount is mentioned in the statement, tallies with the amount reflecting in the software, in the website. So when we talk about the verification, it is not just superficial verification of the document, but going to the last point also and verifying the compliance, because it is more important. If your client is meta certified, it gets a recognition that yes, you have good good systems in place which talk about ethical practices. So PF challan and ESR copies and monthly returns are verified, and when these verifications are done, then only the compliances are considered. The other part is wages and benefits. Yes, living wages are paid or not. This again has to be verified. Now, I'll not discuss much on this particular subject because we have partly discussed in the earlier segment also. Wages and benefits. The wages should be as per the Minimum Wages Act of the state, and the government has and the employer has to ensure that these are being paid to the employees. And the revisions also, which are being done on a 6 monthly basis, are means the laborers or the workforce are paid as per the revisions also. Many times we see in organizations that due to disciplinary actions, they deduct a particular amount from the salary. That is not permissible as per the law. It cannot be done, right? So we have to ensure that when we are conducting the audit or implementing a system or in an organization, we have to see that they do not have such type of provisions where in case of an disciplinary measure, the salaries are being deducted. This is not permissible by the national law and cannot be permitted. When we talk about wages and benefit, the minimum wages has to be followed. Overtime compensation, already a government approved process is there that has to be verified. Mandatory benefits like ESIC, PF, insurance, Mediclaim, whatever are the mandatory benefits, they have to be fulfilled. Many times during the process, we see that the PF and ESIC are paid, but the amount is very less. Suppose a person is getting as per minimum, his salary should be around 12,000 as per minimum wages. His salary is shown as 3-4,000, and rest of the days is shown as absenteeism. So in such situation, the employer has to pay less PF amount as per the employer part, and he's saving money on that head. So this has to be taken care. This is not acceptable as per the national law. So when we talk about mandatory benefit, these documents to be verified. Wage records are checked, time records are checked, on time payments are done or not. Many times and particularly I'll talk about the lockdown situation. I've talked to many clients and many people, they have not yet received the salary for the month of March. The employer is giving a very vague statement that once the lockdown is over, we'll process the salary. So that's not acceptable even in such situations. So if the salary date is 5th, it has to be 5th, and the payment has to be done because it is a requirement of the standard, and it is the responsibility of the employer to ensure that these salaries or payments are done on time. Only legal deductions to be done, like part of your PF, ESIC, and if any loan has been taken, advances taken, then only the deductions can be done. When we do the again the evidence of compliance, we check, we see the wage records, pay slips for both employees and the contractual worker. We review the time records for the employees and the contract staff. We review our policies, standing orders, what the standing orders say, and how these standing orders are being complied. It is not just that the organization should have a policy and they are not complying to the policy. If you have a policy, like we talk about ISO, whatever you write, you have to do similarly in the policies also, standing orders. So if you have made standing orders, you have to ensure that you follow all the standing orders which has been approved by the competent authority. Review of disciplinary records and management interviews. These again, now many times when they deduct the salary on account of disciplinary records, we have to see what are the basis of deduction of the payment from the wages, and whether it is as per the acceptable norms or the national law or not. Then the employees interview is very important. During this meta audit, it is fixed that for particular, yeah, sure, it is particular for employ for the yeah, sure. Um, So it is very clearly mentioned that for these number of employees, how many interviews to be taken, how out of these number of audit days, and very specifically, SMETA has standardized the whole process. Hours of work. Hours of work, again, it is very important. It is 48 hours per week, and 7 day has to be a layoff, means the Sunday has to be, or or if it is on a master basis, it has to be some other day. But 1 day in a week should be off day, right? The overtime should not exceed 12 hours per week. But here we see that in many organizations, the overtime is much more than this 12 hours. Again, that is not correct. Evidence of compliance we see through the in and out time records maintained by the organization, maximum regular work hours, right? All these the Sunday details and the absenteeism details, all these details are being verified when we talk about the hours of work. Now, the other very important subject is freedom of association. When we talk about freedom of association, we talk about the people should have a right to uh, take a stand, take a stand which is being as per the uh, United Nations guiding principles. So many times we see that there is no association, no workers union, no representation from the uh, 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 labors, and basically if some person has or some person takes a stand, he is removed from the organization. So it is ensured during the process that there should be a voice of the labor, that they should collectively bargain with the organization, with the employer, about their requirements if some compromises are being done. So freedom of association again is important. And here we are talking about that they should be in a position to have unions or representations to take care of their matters related to the employer. Now again, important verification is done through list of contractors, copy of principal employer registration to use contract worker. See, each for if I am a employer and I use a contractor, I need to get it approved from the competent authority that I'll be using a contractor, and that contractor will be using the contract workers. So myself as an employer and the contractor both need to take permission from the competent authority to have contractual workers. We cannot just make an agreement with a person and start our activity. It has to be as per the legal requirement. Then copy of contract license is verified, copy of agreement with the contractors is verified, security agency signed contract, and all these legal parameters, all these legal requirements are verified during the SMETA audit. The other important part is child labor. Yes, we have seen that child labor boards are displayed, but yes, in some places we have also seen that child labor are working in the organization, and then because less amount has to be paid to the child labor. So many organizations do which are far placed and unapproachable. I've seen many organizations, they have the habit of employing child laborers, and it is the consultants have to means train them and guide them that this is not as per the law and it has to be discontinued immediately. So child labor, if the auditor has come for the audit and he wants to understand about the child labor, he'll not just go as per the board displayed at the gate and the other location. He'll see all the employment records. He'll see the age of all the people working in the organization, whether it is employee or the contractual worker, and he'll verify the age. Then only he'll move to the next category. He'll review the personal files, the time records, company policies, he'll interview the management, he'll interview the employees, he'll have the factory to assess to see if any child labor is working or not in the organization. Now coming to discrimination, again it is very important. There should not be any discrimination in hiring, compensation, access to training, promotion, termination, or retirement. No discrimination in race, caste, origin, religion, marital status. But yes, there are some issues. I'll just share an example in particular this category. When we talk about, I've seen many organizations or while conducting the interview with the employers. So if a lady is a newly married lady is coming, if a newly married lady is coming for the interview, you will see that the employee is not very comfortable. He's having that question in his mind, what about the maternity leave? So he'll put a lady staff or a person in the HR to ask about what are the plans for family planning. So these are not right questions. This practice should never happen in our organization. It never looks good, and it should never be done. It is a wrong practice, but we have seen it is happening in most of the organizations. When we talk about the ladies, we talk about the family planning, we discuss these personal issues with the females also while recruiting, and this is not done. This is not good. So no discrimination while appointment. The same subject, I'll just move a bit faster because I think I'll be short of time. The other point is abuse of labor. No harsh or inhuman treatment is allowed when we talk about uh, the workforce or the laborers. Many times they are physically abused and threatened, and they're made to work like slaves. So, as per SMETA requirement, this is no way permissible, and this is no way acceptable. So when the SMETA audit is being conducted, compliances are being verified, though the interviews are being taken, the people are discussed in a closed door meeting. They are asked, the laborers or the workforce are asked about the treatment, and on the basis of this, they give a clearance. Okay, the compliance is done, and means no such issues have been found. Health and safety, I'll not take much on this because in health and safety, we have to comply as per the OSAS requirement. So you'll see that we have many standards covered in SMETA. So when we talk about health and safety, we have to ensure that fire safety, chemical safety, all these risk analysis is done and all the safety parameters are taken care. But here health and safety plays a very important role because here we have to do all the compliances which are required in an organization industry, and it is thoroughly as per the requirement of OSAS. So, because we are aware about the OSAS requirement, I'll just move a bit faster in this particular activity. And we already have seen, due to this COVID-19, lot of health and safety compliances are being done. Then the environment. Environment also has to be taken care, and it is thoroughly as per ISO 14000 requirement. You have to ensure that all the compliances are done, and the environment policy impact aspect impact assessment being done. Environment training programs are there. Waste management policies are in place. Then waste inventory, air emission inventory, air ambient quality monitoring, analysis, noise pollution. All these tests are being done. ETP maintenance records are there. Waste disposal records are available. Biomedical waste disposal process is there. All these things are in place. Then the last part is the fraudulent records and business practices. Now this part again is a very important part. When we talk about good business practices, here we are talking about good practices in business. Means the supply shall seek to conduct their business ethically without bribery, corruption, or any type of fraudulent business practices. We have seen many organizations in our country which have gained recognition because of good such practices, and I'm very proud to take name of Tata Group, which are very particular about good business practices, ethical business, no bribery, no corruption type of practices in the organization. This is thoroughly evaluated, and a lot of inputs are taken to ensure during the audit process that these practices are not implemented by the organization, whether it is for taking a license or managing the officials or any other activity. So all the documents, processes, and records are verified to ensure that corrupt practices are not initiated or means adopted by the employer. So a lot of requirements are mentioned in this, how to do the process, what should be the flow of activity, and this is how this process moves. The other areas can be the areas where we have to ensure that the organization has a welfare officer file where he writes down all the details. A trained nurse file should be available. Doctor file should be available. A crash attender file should be available. If the labors are there, the kids are there, small children can be admitted there. Toilet facilities, lunch room, change room, record room, all these activities related to the welfare of the labors are to be considered during the SMETA audit. SMETA audit is a comprehensive audit, and it is once you are certified, you take care of lot many certifications and lot many compliances, and these are being very much followed by the global giants. And a new segment, I'll appreciate if more consultants come into this activity, because it is a new activity, new certification, new process. A lot of good amount is paid for this certification, and you get a good opportunity to learn a lot. So I'll just conclude with this statement, and this is all about SMETA audit. And if anything you want to know about this, we can have a discussion. Any questions, please? SMETA is very similar to